Here we are again with another process from the book Ask and It Is Given. The process that we are going to study today is one of my absolute favorite ones, and that is segment intending. Actually, I think that's what the process, the chapter heading is. Yes, it is. Okay, so segment intending is so powerful because what segment intending does is that it prepares the ground. You know how we prepare the ground before we plant a seed? That's exactly what segment intending does. When we use segment intending, we prepare our vibration and plant our intention. So let's take a look at how that works. And let's start first of all with looking at what Abraham says about this process. So Abraham says when to use this process. When you want your influence to dominate during a particular segment of your day. When you recognize the potential of something not going quite right and you want to make sure it goes the way you want it to. When time or money is especially important to you and you want to make the most of it. And so basically all of that amounts to making the best of the moment that we have now. That's what all of it boils down to. Now, Abraham recommends that we do segment intending between the emotional set points of 4 and 11. So 4 out of 22 is pretty high. 4 and 11. 11 is the middle of the emotional scale. Kind of sort of the middle of the emotional scale, the way Abraham has it laid out. Now, even though Abraham says use it between this set point, they're not saying don't use it outside of these set points. All they're saying is that you get the best results from doing this process when you are in that range, all the way from positive expectation, which is the 4, to number 11, which is overwhelmment. I have to tell you though that I use segment intending across the board. Doesn't matter where I am on the emotional scale, I will use segment intending. But I can understand why Abraham says to use it, that it's more effective at higher levels of the emotional scale. And we'll look at that as we get into the material here. But basically, because we've looked at how thoughts work in the past, we've looked at how one thought brings another thought, brings another thought, brings another thought. And we've also looked at the fact that if you are at the negative end of the emotional scale, it's much harder to flip to the positive side. And Abraham has given us processes where we accomplish that task of going up the emotional scale in small, tiny little steps. So segment intending basically helps us to take a couple of steps at a time, almost, right? If you look at it, you are putting into movement is the word that's coming to mind, because you're creating momentum. And you want to create momentum when you're at the top of the emotional scale. You really don't want to create momentum when you're at the bottom of the emotional scale, because momentum gets created on where you are, and momentum is what makes things happen faster. So if you create momentum while you're still lower down on the emotional scale, you are actually attracting stuff that you don't want. And that's the reason why Abraham says the best time to do this process is after you've done all the other processes that we've already talked about. Because if you've done some of the processes that we've already talked about over the past couple of days, then you've already brought your vibration higher up. And now, because you're higher up on the emotional scale, it is the perfect time for you to engage in this process. Make sense? I hope that makes sense, right? So the best time to use segment intending is after you've spent some time cleaning up your vibration and bringing yourself a little higher on the emotional scale. You can pre-pave or segment intend. Okay, so pre-paving is another word for segment intending. I use them interchangeably, and that's because pre-paving is about also planting the seed, preparing the ground to plant the seed, right? And segment intending is the same thing. You can pre-pave or segment intend any portion of time. And certainly you can break your day into smaller chunks and you can pre-pave each one of those chunks. I'll give you an example. When I wake up, I always pre-pave my day with a very general intention. And when I go to bed, I always pre-pave going to sleep. And I can tell you that I sleep extremely well, extremely deep, extremely well, and I'm asleep within, 60 seconds. And the affirmation that I use the one that is in the Unlimited workbook, which I can read out to you. But that's not where I started. This is where I ended up. I ended up creating my own processes. But when I started, I used Abraham's book, one of Abraham's book, where Abraham suggested a pre-paving. And I wrote it down and I kept it with me on my bedside table. And I will be working on other Abraham books, so you will hear that from me at some point in time. Anyway, did I say I was going to share this with you? I think I might have already. But here it is. So I keep it on a card like this. See, I have both the morning and the nighttime pre-paving written down. And that makes it easy for me because sometimes when you wake up, you're groggy or disoriented. And sometimes when I'm going to sleep, I am so sleepy that I can't keep my eyes open. But I know how important this is to me, so I keep it with me so that even if I am extremely sleepy, I can grab this card and I can read it. So I'm going to read it to you now. In the morning, the words that I say are, "Dear God, thank you for a brand new opportunity to enjoy life. I want my day to unfold with ease. I want good things to come my way. I want to remember to appreciate people, places, and things. I want to be good to myself and others. I want to end this day feeling happy and satisfied. And I want to remember at all times that all things are possible." That's the morning intention, or the morning segment intending. So in the morning, my segment is the whole day. I am intending for my whole day that I want to end my day feeling happy and satisfied. And keeping that intention forefront as you go through your day makes a huge big difference, I tell you. Because you've decided that you want to end the day feeling happy and satisfied, when things happen that are not conducive to your happiness, you can choose to ignore them. So things will happen. Somebody, I'll encounter so many clients, so many people, and people say all sorts of things. But I've learned to ignore them. Why? Because I want to end my day feeling happy and satisfied. And if I keep thinking about you unpleasant bugger, then I'm not going to be able to get to a place of satisfaction at the end of the day, because I'll still be churning my anger or my irritation at you. So when I think about the silly things, so now what happens is, instead of taking it seriously, I call it a silly thing. Oh, that's just so silly. That person is that's nonsense. They're going to come to their senses later, or they don't know better, right? So I just take it so lightly, it just bounces off my feathers as if I was a duck. I am a duck. And that's what I teach other people to be as well. So anyway, it is really helpful to pre-pave your whole day and pre-pave going to bed. Segment in 10, going to bed. Because if you do it regularly for a couple of months, I tell you, you will sleep the way I do. A storm can go by and I will not hear it. I will hear it only if it calls my name. When my name is called, yes, I will hear it. But other than that, I can sleep through anything. And it is a delicious sleep and I thoroughly enjoy it. And that is the reason that I can wake up feeling refreshed. Because if you get to that place of really deep sleep, that is when you feel rejuvenated, and that's when you wake up feeling refreshed. So I'm also going to give you my nighttime segment intending. And here it is. I am going to bed now. I want to sleep well. I want my body to relax and rejuvenate. I want to reset myself emotionally as well as physically. I want to wake up feeling energized and eager for my day. Because that's what I want. And I'm pretty sure that that's what everyone wants. Okay, so Abraham says then to break your day into segments. And I have to say one thing respectfully. I absolutely love and adore Abraham. But the way they suggest it in this book, I think is a little bit much. Like, I can't pre-pave everything I'm going to do. But the example that they share with us is kind of like that. It's like everything. Get into the car, pre-pave that. Sit in the car, pre-pave going where you're going. Pre-pave every little action. And I can tell you that I don't do that. I don't know if anyone really can, because that to me is a little bit too much. But I can tell you that is exactly, it reminds me of what I was taught as a child. As a child born in a Muslim family, I was taught that you pre-pave everything with the words, with a certain sentence, everything. Ask for blessings in everything that you do. And it kind of reminds me of what Abraham is teaching us to do over here. And I'm not saying that it's wrong. I'm just saying that, at least for me, it's a little bit impossible to do it every time. But I can tell you that I do it for every major segment of my time. For example, when I go to work, I sit in my car, or as I'm walking towards my office, I will pre-pave going there. I will segment intend being able to finish my work and do it easily. I will segment intend or pre-pave going grocery shopping, because that is really important to me. I like buying good food. And I will segment intend going to the gym and put it pre-pave that my body will derive the benefit that it needs and wants to derive out of my physical activity. I will pre-pave cooking because I want to enjoy my food and I want my children to enjoy their food. So there are many things that I will pre-pave. I will pre-pave specific clients. I pre-pave talking to you. As I'm driving home and I know that I'm going to be doing this presentation, I pre-pave it. I pre-pave and I ask Abraham to help me find the best words and the best analogies to help me convey this material to you in the best possible way. When I meditate, I pre-pave meditation. And when I go to teach meditation on Tuesday nights, I pre-pave going there. And you know, the best part about pre-paving or segment intending is that I always add a little bit of fun to it. I ask for having fun. I want this to be fun. I want it to be satisfying. I want to enjoy myself when I do my presentation. When I'm coaching, I segment intend every coaching session by saying that I want the person who is asking me a question to get value out of our conversation together. When I answer questions in my Facebook group, I segment intend that. I pre-pave it. I always say that I want the best words. I want to find the best words to convey. What? Not what I want to convey, but what the universe wants to convey to those who are listening. And I guess that's it, because there's no preparation. I don't prepare for things. Long ago, many years ago, when I really got Abraham, it was like a download, I guess you could call it a sort of enlightenment. But when that happened, I discovered that I no longer need to prepare. I don't need to prepare a speech. I went and I did a TEDx speech, and I just did it. The only thing I had in my head was the title, and I trusted that the right words would come when I did it. And they did. I had fun, and I think people in the audience did as well. When I do these presentations, there's no extensive preparation involved. Because here's the thing, if there was, I would do the extensive preparation if it was fun to do. And that's the most important thing to remember. If something feels like a chore, then your vibration is not lined up for doing it. And this process of segment intending helps us to line up our intention, right? When you're going to do something that you don't really enjoy doing, you can improve the way you're looking at it. You can change your perspective about it by segment intending. Because when you take the time to consciously put your intention forward, you make the conscious effort to be positive. And when you make the conscious effort to be positive, isn't that what deliberate creation is all about? Isn't that what our trying to learn how to use the law of attraction is all about? Yes? That's right, it is. Okay, let's get back here. Okay, so if you are in a bad mood, meaning that there is considerable resistance in your vibrational frequency, then because you do not have access to very different thoughts from where you currently are, you usually project that same vibrational expectation into the segment that you are moving into. For that reason, we encourage the application of segment intending when you are already feeling good, which is what we discussed. Okay, so now Abraham then gives us, so they say this process will help you to be more deliberate about focusing your thoughts. And it does, because it tells you, you get to decide what's important to you. And so, for example, when I'm going to meet with a client, when I segment intend, I make the conscious decision about what I want to get out of this meeting. I want the other person to find value. I want me to find value. I want this interchange to be good and harmonious. I want that person who is sitting across from me to really know how much I care about them. And I want to feel that. I want to care about them. And so when you say those words, now you have prepared yourself for how you're going to behave in that meeting, right? So I think that it is one of the most amazing tools. Pre-paving, segment intending, hands down, awesome tool. I pre-pave everything. You know what? I've just created a meditation, which I will be posting on my channel. And I find that one of the biggest things that's missing about the meditations that are out there on the internet is that none of them pre-pave it. None of them do a pre-paving or segment intending about the intention with which to go into meditation. So yes, folks, I'm going to say I don't pre-pave every little 5-minute time segment, but I do pre-pave all those things that are important to me that I want to get specific results from. And over a period of time, my specific result has become very general because I've begun to understand that when I asked for something general, that keeps attachment away. And when there is no attachment in what you're asking for, that's when your channel of communication with the universe is open and you are able to receive guidance and act upon it. So I usually, mostly, almost always, 99% of the time, always ask for satisfaction. Because satisfaction feels so good and you can stay there forever. Hang on, guys. Abraham says, you enter a new segment anytime your intentions change. If you are washing dishes and the phone rings, you enter a new segment. When you get into your vehicle, you enter a new segment. When another person walks into the room, you enter a new segment. If you will take the time to get your thought of expectation started even before you are inside your new segment, you will be able to set the tone of the segment more specifically than if you walk into the segment and begin to observe it as it already is. It is much easier to segment intent before you start. So it is much easier for me to segment intent before the client walks into my office. It is much easier for me to segment intent before I start the coaching session or the meditation. If I've already started my discussion, now momentum has already started. And remember Abraham's analogy about a car that you nudge forward from the top of the hill. Once you nudge it forward and it's rolling downhill, it is very difficult to stop that car. And that's what happens if you enter a segment of time that is important to you without doing the segment intending process. Okay, so let's go. Okay, so then Abraham says, for example, you're cooking dinner and enjoying the rhythm and flow you've established. Everything is on schedule and you expect everything to turn out just right. Then the phone rings. You enter into a new segment. You set forth the intention not to answer the phone. You set forth the intention your answering device can take the call, and you set forth the intention that you will return the call later when you have time. So the rhythm and flow of your meal preparation is not disrupted. Your segment changed slightly, but you maintained your balance and all is well. Or the phone rings and you enter a new segment. You remember that you've been expecting an important call and you do not want to miss it. You set your intention for the segment to be efficient and brief and to gather the information quickly and politely. And because of the positive flow you've already got going on, your positive expectation dovetails into that perfectly so that you have prepared the conversation even before you pick up the phone. Now, we have caller ID. And because we have caller ID, it is really easy to pre-pave. Because when you see the caller ID, you can say, that one, I want to know what they're saying before I pick up the phone and call them. It's much better if I hear them, if I hear what they've got on their mind before I have a conversation with them. And then there are those people whose name shows up and you can't wait to pick up the phone because you're so excited to hear from them, right? Okay. So, let's see. Abraham then says, you're living in a wonderful physical time. You are living in a high technological society where you have access to stimulation of thought from all around the world. You benefit from all of this, for it provides you an opportunity for much growth, but it also provides an opportunity for much distraction, right? Facebook, Instagram, distraction, news, so much going on all around us. So in this kind of an atmosphere, segment intending really helps because it helps us to say, I'm just going to focus on this that I want to get accomplished and I'm going to leave all other distractions out of the picture until I'm ready for them. Okay? And then Abraham says that your thought process is very fast. And as you're considering one subject, you have the ability by the power of attraction to bring forth more and more clarity upon that subject until you can accomplish anything regarding it. And yes, that is true. You can get so zoned in and start getting your juices going. I call it that. I get my juices going, and then I'm just pulling from the field of all possibilities. I'm pulling stuff from source, and it's just coming and coming and coming, and so fast that it's almost sometimes difficult to keep up with how fast it comes. Okay. The point of segment intending process is to clearly identify what you want so that you can deliberately begin to set forth the attraction of that which you want. Here is the key to your deliberate creation. See yourself as a magnet attracting unto you the way you feel at any point in time. And so, folks, this is what I teach when I teach visualization. That all you need to visualize is yourself at an undetermined point in time in the future, saying to someone, a friend, or even to yourself, I feel so good. I feel so good about where I am, and I created it, and I love it. My life is so good. I am so happy, and I'm not done yet because I'm looking forward to more. That's it. We don't need to talk about the specifics because it is always better to let the universe decide what the specifics are going to be, because the universe is way better at it than we are, because the universe sees all alternatives whereas we see only a limited set. Okay. Also, the value of the segment intending process is to encourage you to pause many times during the day to say, this is what I want from this period of my life. I want it and I expect it. Or you could say, wouldn't it be nice if? It doesn't matter. It's all about preparing yourself vibrationally, emotionally, and being ready for what you are going to undertake. If you want many things all at the same time, it adds confusion. But when you only focus upon the specifics of what you want in any particular moment, you bring clarity and power to your creation, and therefore speed. And that is the point of the segment intending process. Okay. So then Abraham goes into just recounting a day and how you would segment a day. So, do you want to go through it with me? Because, I can go through it with you, but I think this is a little bit much. Let's take a look. We would like to guide you through an example of a day where you may be deliberately intending as you are recognizing that you are moving into new segments. So, as you open your eyes in the morning, recognize that you have now entered into a new segment. Set forth your intent for that time. While I'm lying here, I'm intending to have a clear picture of this day. I'm intending to become exhilarated and excited about this day. That's the morning pre-paving where I pre-pave my whole day. And then as you're lying there, you will begin to feel that refreshment and exuberance upon the upcoming day. As you get out of bed, you've entered into a new segment. As you're brushing your teeth or bathing, you're in another segment. Let your intent be to do it efficiently, to enjoy yourself, to have it be an uplifting time that prepares you for the day. As you prepare breakfast, then that's another segment. As you enter the car, as you eat the breakfast, that's a different segment. So you see, Abraham is actually breaking the day up into very small segments. And yes, you can do that, and I think it's wonderful if you can do that. I can tell you that I don't do that. I've already shared with you how I pre-pave my day. I don't pre-pave each and everything, but I can see the benefit that if you could do so, it would be beneficial because you would be even more in control of your vibration than ever before. And I guess that is it, folks. That's the segment intending process. So you can segment intend any period of time. Remember that. You can segment intend a whole year. And I actually do that. I have a workbook called Ready to Bring in the New Year. And I'm going to be running a webinar based on that book very shortly because it is so important to segment intend the new year that's coming in. All right, so if you're interested in joining me for that segment, for that webinar, why don't you post ready under here and then I'll post the information when it's ready. Okay? All right. Take care. Have a fabulous rest of the evening and I'll see you tomorrow with the next process from the book Ask and It Is Given. Bye for now.